The Steam Deck was a runaway success. It's currently Valve's best-selling hardware, so of course a Steam Deck 2 is inevitable. But the original Steam Deck has already changed substantially with a bunch of system updates, so a Steam Deck 2 should be more evolutionary. Today on the Steam Pals, we're looking to answer the following questions. What should the Steam Deck 2 have? What can it learn from its competition? And how much of a change will it be years after the original Steam Deck's release?
Hello everyone, my name is Fox. Once again, I'm joining my Steam Pals, and in this video we're asking ourselves what we'd like to see in a Steam Deck 2. There are a great number of ways that Valve can improve upon the Steam Deck. We all know performance is the first obvious choice, but going further into that, what I'd like to see is exploring a chip that has an oversized GPU. By that I mean a GPU whose core count extends far beyond what we would have anticipated, and for two reasons. While on battery power, we could have the GPUs running at very low frequency, gaining us maximum efficiency, but also going to 256 or 512-bit wide interfaces so that system RAM can almost always run at its low power setting, but still provide that raw bandwidth because of how wide the lanes are. So not only would we get the best possible performance on battery, but also when the machine is docked, we could push more power into the system and get a more linear gain in performance. Along those same lines, I'd like them to min-max and over-engineer every possible component. A bezel-less OLED panel that supports VRR and SIPS power. Every last component should be heavily scrutinized to be as efficient as possible, or some I see doing double or triple duty. To sum that up, I would love to see a Steam Deck 2 that leverages the best available of the latest generation, but cranked up to 11, with an eye on efficiency. That's what I'd like to see from a Steam Deck 2.
The easy answer when it comes to what to put in the Steam Deck 2 is more power, better battery life, a nicer screen, maybe even OLED, but these are things that I think that Valve is already going to do their absolute best to include in the successor to the Steam Deck. But what's something that I think a lot of people would overlook is better controls. Now, you have heard me gush about how awesome the Steam Deck's controls are because we have those trackpads. We have the 4 buttons on the back of the device. We have Steam input to allow us to pretty much do whatever we want. But there's one thing that I think the Steam Deck could absolutely improve upon, and that is adding an extra gyroscope. Now, the Steam Deck already has a gyroscope, but this is the Alpaca controller. It has 2 gyroscopes, and I gotta tell you, this thing is really weird. It essentially emulates a mouse and keyboard when you plug it into your computer, but it has 2 gyroscopes, and I've never felt something that felt as good as mouse and keyboard since this. And all it really needs is 1 extra gyroscope built into the next Steam Deck to have that same almost one-to-one movement that you get with the Alpaca controller. So for me, the thing that I would like to see the most in the Steam Deck 2 would be another gyroscope.
High-tech lowlife here. Personally, I don't think we'll get a Steam Deck 2 until 2025 or 2026. But I will say, when the Steam Deck 2 comes out, I'm sure it'll be substantially more powerful than anything that comes out this year or next year. So yes, obviously I want a better processor and a better GPU. But that's like literally a given. Let's talk about some other stuff. For example, I would like the Steam Deck 2 to have Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7, whatever the latest Wi-Fi standard is when it comes out. I'd also like to have USB 4 ports, and I mean more than 1 port. 1 at the bottom and 1 at the top. 1 at the top for convenience sake and backwards compatibility with all of these Steam Deck docks. And 1 at the bottom so that docking can feel more intuitive, so that they make a new dock with, you know, a bottom mounted port. Kind of like what the Switch has now. As for the controls themselves, I want a better D-pad. I want a D-pad that has more travel time, and a better pivot so that I don't miss input directions. I also want the triggers to have more travel time. And I also want dual stage triggers like we have on the Steam controller. And I also wish the back buttons were a little higher. I kind of have trouble pressing the bottom set of back buttons. I also want stronger haptic motors. I got one of the early Steam Deck models and they don't have great haptics. I hear they're a lot better with newer Steam Decks, but I just want better haptics overall. My number one request for a screen would be an OLED display. A very color accurate OLED display is miles ahead of what a Steam Deck display currently is. On top of better color accuracy, the contrast ratio is just better. Would I want a display with a higher refresh rate and a higher resolution? Yes, but obviously those are kind of pipe dreams. And so now this is the part where things get really exotic. For starters, I want the ability to plug my Steam Deck into a PC for a multitude of different reasons. One would be to copy stuff from my computer to my Steam Deck and vice versa. And another would be to use my Steam Deck as a PC controller straight up. And finally, I want wireless connectivity between multiple Steam Decks, kind of like what we had with the 3DS or DS or PSP or PS Vita or the Nintendo Switch. They can all connect to one another wirelessly, all without any Wi-Fi connectivity or hotspots or whatever. You could definitely achieve this in a Linux PC, but what I'd like to see is some sort of easy to use interface, or have it as a built-in API option. Some may say that this is a very niche feature, but you know what? If you develop for it, developers may want to target it. And the last thing I want to talk about is the touchscreen. The touchscreen is criminally underused in terms of actual gameplay. People only really use it to navigate the desktop. Personally, I think being able to set custom controls for the touchscreen with Steam input would be a godsend. Have on-screen buttons that you can use as extra commands.
Hey there, Steam pals, it's Michael from Germany with the two things that I would love to see Valve implement into an eventual Steam Deck 2. Pretty early on in the life cycle of the first Steam Deck, we saw a lot of people hunt down a specific type of SSD that they would modify so that it would fit into their Steam Deck. They wanted to upgrade from 64 or even from 512 gigabytes to something more. This might be something that is very specific to me as a Steam Deck content creator, but I've deleted so many games and reloaded so many games because I didn't have enough space, even with an upgraded SSD card in my Steam Deck. So what I would love to see Valve do for the Steam Deck 2 is to pick out a standardized internal storage solution for the Steam Deck 2 and provide us, the user and the customers, with an easy access to switch it out, without the need for an extensive YouTube tutorial or the need to modify an existing SSD to fit into your Steam Deck. Dreaming big here, but I would love to see the Steam Deck 2 doing something not dissimilar to what Microsoft is doing with the Xbox Series X, where you can easily switch out the internal storage solution or upgrade it with a specific slot where you can pop in another internal storage solution basically. It's super expensive there, but I'm sure someone like Valve could find a way to make it easily accessible while keeping the costs down too. The other thing, we know Valve has pretty good customer support when it comes to switching out a defect Steam Deck for a new one, or when you find something faulty about yours and you have to send it in. You'll get it back pretty fast, not really an issue. But every Steam Deck has a natural point of failure built into their design, and that is the analog sticks. They are built without Hall effect sticks, and I would love to see those in maybe the most expensive version of the Steam Deck 2, or the ability to switch out the analog sticks without taking the whole system apart, similar to what a lot of the more expensive controllers out there are doing these last few years, where you're able to switch out the sticks by yourself, because they will break eventually. They get a lot of wear and tear over the years, and eventually you're gonna end up with stick drift. We hate that, we don't want that, and it would be super nice to be able to provide a lot of longevity for the system by being able to switch out these sticks by yourself. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy about my Steam Deck. More power is never a bad thing, so I think that will show up in the Steam Deck 2 for sure. And otherwise, I'm just hopeful that Valve takes the time to iterate on what's here and find a way to bring a few meaningful changes to what they established as a pretty cool Linux-based PC handheld system. Which is something that a few years ago I never thought would happen, and I never thought that I would be into that. So I'm gonna be excited for whatever Valve comes up with, and I'm gonna check it out for sure.
James here from Games Revealed. The Steam Deck 2 is most likely going to have a faster APU in it. I mean, it's probably, for sure going to happen. So we don't really need to add that to the list. What we need to add or talk about is one thing that Valve has really neglected even since day one of the deck, and that is adding more ports. I think it needs USB-C 4, and I do think that they need it at the top and the bottom, and I think an OcuLink right there at the top next to it, kind of like the ROG Ally, would really be a nice additional port for additional bandwidth. There are 3 reasons why I think this would be a game changer to add these new ports to the deck, and number 1 is I can more easily use my deck as a desktop replacement with the risk of running out of bandwidth on the current deck's USB-C port. I really can't hook up my cameras, my speakers, external drives, everything else to it without overloading the system. During my Steam Deck week-long challenge, it just kind of fell flat towards the end as recording, editing, and all that started to get a little bit more cumbersome as I added more to it. It could use a little bit more bandwidth. Now, number 2 on my list is it could be a AAA Slayer with an eGPU. All the other devices are starting to come out with them, and they're doing really good, and they're able to output so much. It'd be awesome to see the Steam Deck 2 be on the same playing field as a desktop, current game consoles, or current competitors to it, like the ROG Ally. Just imagine playing Starfield at 60 frames per second on your TV. It would be bliss. Number 3 on my list is no awkward top cable that has to reach up and connect into it, and also having the top and bottom ports on this thing would allow for different accessories, different innovations, battery packs, and whatnot to help change things up. Bonus round time, you know me, I can't count to 3 or count to whatever number I tell you. I have to give you an extra bonus one. And that today is going to be, it would allow for better VR capabilities and would truly become an all-in-one device capable of entering virtual space in like Half-Life Alyx, and you could truly enjoy the masterpiece that Valve has brought to us, game-wise and hardware-wise. Now, there are so many different ways to improve the deck, and this is not my only item to improve the deck. It's just the top one I think needs to be improved so that we can have more accessories, more capabilities, more expandability for the deck, and just be able to do more with it. And I do think that Valve has plenty more to dream up. I think this is just a dead set, easy one to do. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later.
Hey everyone, I'm Marty from Steam Deck Gaming, the YouTube channel, and also now the website. I started with the Steam Deck when it originally launched, although I was following it very closely before that, as originally I was into cloud gaming, but Steam Deck's definitely taken over that, as it's more than capable of a lot of stuff that you could do in the cloud. On the Steam Deck 2, I really want to see a slightly bigger screen, as much as I like the 800p screen after using the ROG Ally. It's definitely a lot nicer having that 1080p image, so obviously we'll need a better processor to boot with that. A lot of people say about an OLED display, but I don't really care for that. I just want a nicer crystal clear display for the Steam Deck with at least the battery life that it's got now, and a little bit more battery life if we can. It would be really nice to have a little bit more power, and I think with RDNA 3 and a lot of the other technological advancements that have been made this year, proving with the Asus ROG Ally and a lot of the other Neo devices that are coming out every other week, it seems, that there is going to be more than enough technology space to increase the Steam Deck 2 with at least enough power to be able to hold 30 plus frames per second at 1080 on all of the games that we've got now. Obviously, I would like to see the compatibility increase somewhat as well, but I really hope that with the success of the Steam Deck as it is, that a lot more developers will jump on the Steam Deck train and make sure that that is compatible in future. Thanks for having me on the Steam Pals episode this month, and I hope to see you guys again.
This is High Tech Lowlife, and thank you for watching this video. If you liked this Steam Pal video, be sure to like and subscribe and share this with your friends. If you liked this video, be sure to check out our individual channels. Everyone on this list here makes great Steam Deck content, so you should check out every single channel here.